Hello everyone, it's Open House Thursday. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have my lovely co-host here. Hi ladies.
Hi.
Nima in the building.
Yo. Wait, don't greet her too much.
Let me be greeting.
No, she's bringing the meat
instead.
tomorrow, don't worry. We're getting our meat
People
tomorrow.
don't eat fried meat. Nigeria. Your view ladies don't eat fried meat. For the past 4 years, I've learned to grill their meat. I boiled it, fried it a bit, put it in the oven, leave it to fry itself. It's still fried.
No problem.
We'll pepper it tomorrow.
Me, I shall brought my own meat today. So.
But Morayo, that you know, Morayo has 2 rams.
Don't announce it now. Where are you? Need to one more.
And they said because I killed a ram, I will not get meat.
I didn't kill 2 rams. I killed 1 ram.
It's
the second one belongs to my mother.
I'll kill the on your behalf.
Is she going to kill her mother's ram with her own?
Exactly. The 2, actually.
Anyway, how are you doing, Nima?
I'm very well.
Although it's still in Tasso.
Till Saturday.
Sorry?
Salah continues till Saturday, so the people in Zenith Bank got their meat today. I grilled it and peppered it to them. And tomorrow, your view people, TVC people, after Saturday, please, nobody should greet me on Monday morning.
So Salah will not continue.
I'm looking forward.
No.
These are, I think I enjoyed Salah the most because yesterday I was telling them in the makeup room that my son and my husband just went out yesterday. We dressed up, we really cacked up. Went to my brother-in-law's house. And he's like, "Oh, where you guys going?" Like, "No, we just came to visit."
Like, what's happening?
What you buying? Yeah, I don't want that.
Just in case we get invited.
We are so excited about this Salah. This is the best Salah ever.
Why though? Then we thought that you were watching your weight. So, my Salah was interesting actually. You know, I ruled out all my plans for Tuesday. I rested throughout yesterday. In fact, I didn't leave my room at all yesterday. And I have plans for September and October. You know, I'm very excited about them. I slept late yesterday night based on correspondence with you guys know I'm an ambassador to this international company that empowers people now. So I'm reeling out things in the near future that I'm very excited about. But
so you're going global? You're going global?
We're global. We're global. I have a question. Yeah. So if you had, Mariah, if you had all the money in the world at your disposal, meaning that you're not working because of money, if you wanted 100 trillion naira, or dollars or pounds is available to you, what would you be doing?
What would I be doing?
Charity.
Don't answer yet. Just think about it.
Okay, cool. How are you doing, Mariam?
I'm fine. I enjoyed this Salah too, particularly.
Really?
Well, I don't know why. I dressed up too. I put on a dress that I hadn't worn in a long time. First, I tried on one. And then next thing I knew, these are dresses I have not worn before. I had these clothes before I had my babies. And then to find out that I can fit into them, it was such a fantastic thing. So I have like what do you call them? Bottom box clothes. So I brought them out and then I'm like, you guys, healthy living will save you a lot of money. So please, eat healthy.
Gary was not healthy.
I didn't say Gary is not healthy, madam.
Okay, he was not compliant.
Madam says that Gary, the way it's processed, it takes out the cholesterol. No, she said cholesterol in Gary. Please don't say that.
English.
I said to her, please don't discuss Gary processing cholesterol again. We'll talk. I will tell you a little bit more.
Well, Gary is not fat.
We're good. We thank God.
It's Thursday, so we're gradually getting to the weekend. Third Milan Bridge is going to be closed midnight today, so you got to get ready for that.
So stay home tomorrow.
Just stay home this weekend.
Some people will still
opportunity to
drive
just
to
sit down. Except for those getting married, having weddings. These are the ones that really have to go to the island that they have to. But
thankfully,
please
there'll
just
be
stay
alternative
home.
routes open. So
let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll go through the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the punch. 2019 leadership tussle threatens reps APC caucus. Buhari hails airport security men for returning missing bag. Retiree cries out as wife allegedly disappears with children. Ayefele, ex-Ajimobi's chief of staff, urges governor to show compassion in governance. 2019 APC orders fresh registration, revalidation of members. OAU suspends 6 students for cultism. Our focus is to take Nigerians out of poverty, says Osinbajo. APC will meet its march if it foments trouble When we reconvene, says PDP senators. PDP would defeat Buhari in 2019, says Saraki. An anti-Saraki threat. Arrest Mayeti Allah leaders now. PDP CSOs tell Buhari. This picture.
The Ayefele story.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Just follow up. So Professor Adiola Akonde is the governorship aspirant in Oyo State, was saying to the Oyo governor Abiola Ajimobi that he should allow compassion guide him in his governance in Oyo State, talking about the demolition of Ayefele's Fresh FM music house. Also, former Governor Ladoja was saying that journalists should really investigate why that house was demolished as opposed to what the government is telling us, because we saw the governor in a video saying that people are saying that Ayefele employs a lot of people. Don't even armed robbers, thieves employ people, so we must hold the law sacrosanct. And then he said that road, but that he has begged so they will look into the matter. So it seems like the option of negotiations was not exhausted. That's what it seemed from watching him in that video, you know.
That's a new video, right?
Yes.
For me it's that when he says that he's forgiven, I'm saying you told us this building is causing accidents, that's caused deaths, it's a blind spot. So if he's forgiven, does that take away the accidents
exactly,
he's causing?
Which is why you must
that's
remove.
why.
Unfortunately, we can't go on. We have to take. I want to take the good story of this halogen officials. Okay. A returnee from the U.S. left a bag. I think tried getting the conveyor belt, and then they saw the bag. The bag had lots of dollars in it, lots of phones, expensive wristwatches, and all that. And they kept it. They called the owner of the bag, came back, and they're really impressed. But I'm surprised how the president got involved in that, because the president actually hailed...
Called to commend them.
And I was wondering, okay, how did this happen?
And it's good news.
I thought it's a lot of money. They didn't disclose the amount.
I expect more noise to be made about it, because this is the time of I don't arrive, and they could have just
I know.
The money.
And this is
yeah, no matter what it might seem like, I'm very happy that something like this is out. And usually when you hear stories like this, money was stolen by Nigerian officials at the airport, or things were stolen. But for it to be returned, that's a good story.
You remember that story that the lady who beat up a Taxify driver only for them to find her bag untouched at the airport? So we must commend them for doing the right thing always.
Let's move on to The Nation very quickly. Buhari forecloses former DSS boss's Daura's return.
Yes,
so his sack saved the nation's democracy and boosted the Buhari administration's democratic credentials. The president has no plan to bring him back, in a nutshell. 6-year term okay, says Ekweremadu. Gun attacks on home, Akpabio police differ. Oyo NURTW chief gets cheerful buy. Banks lending to private sector declines by 600 billion naira. So Ekweremadu is speaking. Who has that story? I read that.
I don't have a
Okay, I read Ekwerimadu's. Okay, so what he's saying was a Facebook, an Instagram, an online post where he was saying that this is something he'd said before, that it is better we have a one-term
6-year tenure.
One term
of 5 to 6 years.
Yes, that it is better because it reduces the political tension that comes from wanting to succeed yourself for the next term.
Yes, and he used a few other countries in South America as examples. That listen, after you've been able to strengthen our democracy for a while, then we cannot go back to the two terms.
May I quickly disagree with him that it's the fear of losing second term that even makes people in government now do anything in their first 4 years. 4 years for a bad government is just long enough. Talk less of 6 years.
So Daura is not coming back, and that's a done deal. So those people speculating that he will be back once the president comes back, they can relax. And the people around the president said they've exhausted the begging. And he's insisted that no, Daura is not coming back. But there's still a confusion as to whether they would continue to keep CFA there for...
And there was a comment on CFA saying that there's a strong case for CFA to prove the point that Buhari has a national character,
that's for Buhari,
contrary to the accusation by some politicians that he's an ethnic bigot.
Okay, question though, the investigations released by Premium Times on Daura, be it true or false, we also want to see a conclusion on that. Right. Did he have PVCs in his house? Did he have foreign?
No, those are
responded on that.
Yes.
So that video was false.
Yeah.
Right.
They said it was fake news. The DSS investigated that and said none of that was true.
No, but you cannot be a judge in your own case. Why was it not the Nigerian police?
They have not released anything yet. They've not told us anything. That everything you see out online, social media, is false. They're just saying that. Moving on now to Daily Sun. Miyetti Allah storm overthrow to Saraki. APC resume nationwide membership registration. Dara Emir turbans Kalu as the Hausa ambassador plenipotentiary. Angry youth set court ablaze in Imo. Buhari laying foundation for greater economy, says Tinubu. And Edwin Clark harps on restructuring. Miyetti Allah, so one of their leaders. You have that story?
Yes, I do have the story. So one of the you know that they said that is the Benue faction that was saying, that was saying that if Saraki does not resign, then they will push him out by force. And all of us were like, in a democracy, how? Miyetti Allah?
Who
are you going to go to the Senate with guns? Or how? Anyway, Miyetti Allah has come out, another faction. I think the national faction now saying that he did not represent them in what he said. Yeah.
Okay. Want to say something about that?
No.
Okay, let's move on now to New Telegraph. It's impossible for Buhari to lose 2019 election. Who is speaking? Says PDP will cease to exist after poll. That's President's campaign organization boasting. PDP, it's a delusion, empty boast. Saraki will defeat Buhari. Kiamu says it's a wishful thinking. Goodness. Hoodlums set Imo court ablaze. Can Nigeria's security situation unacceptable? Daura Emir turbans Kalu Dambawan Hausa. And let's see which other story looks good here. Music house demolition will have mercy on Ayefele. Oh, he has done.
That's what we're saying now. So the mercy now will it change the accidents happening?
Some other people are saying, being a disabled person doesn't give you the right to abuse the law. So I really don't understand.
They should just have finished.
But I would like that they remove personal interest from this.
That's it.
If the person contravenes building or town planning laws, there are rules that guide this.
I agree with you.
Both sides of your mouth.
No, that's what we said. I agree with her in that if we're not talking about mercy. If it is that he has contravened the law, remove personal interest.
Yes. So you and him, your relationship does not matter.
Right.
His building is on your soil.
So why didn't we say that all this
while? We said that before.
We said we
exhaust all possible options.
Just clearing the
follow the law.
Okay, all right.
If they remove personal interest, they would have waited for courts to do the right thing. Just go through the process. I wanted to talk about Kano. They are saying that Nigeria's security situation is totally unacceptable. Let me even quote them, Mujari. That it is unacceptable, condemnable, and reprehensible. Who was talking? The Khan leadership, Reverend Father Michael Akau, and was reacting. Khan leadership was reacting to the killings of a Catholic priest, Reverend Father Akau, on August 18, and Reverend Uzziah Akuchi of the Baptist Convention. So they were saying that we need to do more to protect Nigerians.
Right. The court, Hodlem said Imo court ablaze.
Yes, so this magistrate court, grade 1 and 2, was attacked by hoodlums in Owerri and set ablaze. And the suggestions are that they're trying to destroy all records of certain proceedings that were holding in the courts. Sometime in the past, the High Court in Owerri had also been attacked. I think they should now start to beef up security around judges. It has come to a time now in Owerri where we attack magistrates, where you beat up. These are government institutions that that are important in our democracy that should be protected.
All right, let's move on very quickly to Vanguard. Militants battle Ondo government over non-inclusion in amnesty program. Oil price leaps to $74 per barrel as U.S. inventory drops. APC reps groups move against Gbajabiamila. Can 6 arrests, prosecution of priest killers. I jog more than a mile regularly, but won't seek votes based on that, says article. AFL's physically challenged, not excused to break the law. Global community backs Buhari's second-term bid, says foreign minister. And Third Mainland Bridge of USD, federal government, Lagos government deploy personnel to alternative routes today. So the militants in Ondo are saying that, listen, you promised us amnesty, Ondo State government, since last year, November. And right now, they've not gotten the amnesty. Please give us back our guns. That during the campaigns, they're going to lock down the entire
authorities
area.
That these guys started resorting to kidnapping along the waterways all the way to Lagos. To curb insecurity was why they were giving amnesty. They should please fulfill their side of the agreement before we start looking for school children.
You're going to take a story?
Please.
I wanted to take the article story quickly. So while they showed us pictures of him on the treadmill. Okay.
That mean he runs. It's okay. We
on the treadmill.
Hey,
1 kilometer per day.
That is all we can take on front page review. When we come back, yesterday we discussed leadership and getting your PVCs. That who is a leader? What are the kind of leaders we're looking for? Today, we have a young and vibrant personality as our guest. You don't want to miss this. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
All right.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So as Nigeria gears up for 2019 presidential elections, there's one candidate who sets himself apart from the pack, Chike Ukaegbu, a 35-year-old Nigerian native currently based in New York City, hopes to become the African nation's youngest civilian president. Welcome to Chike.
Thank you very much.
You can call us on 070-806-68014. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweet. So I know Jumoke wanted to start with the first question, but go ahead, Jumoke.
My co-hosts know that the reason I came out of holiday was because I wanted to meet you. Your profile is actually intimidating. From being born in Owerri in Imo State and schooling in Nigeria, you went to Unilag at the age of 17. At 19, you went to City College in New York to read biomedical engineering. Right. In your second year, you became a fellow of the Colin Powell Fellowship. You taught maths for 7 years in City College, and then went into entrepreneurship for 2 years. You have an MBA amongst other degrees. Fantastic. One would think that with that pedigree, Nigeria, this is who we're looking for. But in Nigeria today, to become the president, if you do not have a money bag godfather, or do not have money by yourself, plus our constitution says you must win at least 25% of votes in 2/3 of all the Nigerian states. Right. Today, Chike, you have been all over CNN, Al Jazeera, and all over the world. Musa, the 18-year-old voter in Kano, does he know you? And how do you plan to go about your campaign if you're serious about becoming the president?
Thank you very much for that. Let me correct something. I took MBA classes at UPenn, but I don't have an MBA. So I like to...
Okay. You never finished?
Yeah, no, I didn't finish. I sort of figured out that an executive program in venture capital would, suit me more. So I went on to Stanford for that. So thank you for that question. That's one question I've gotten so many times. How do you reach the young grassroots person, considering that you haven't been in Nigeria for so long. So that's where the party structure becomes important, right? So being a young person, we all know, and it seems like you guys did do a lot of research. So we know that, more than 60% of our population is under 30, right? I feel like I will be able to identify with them because, one, like you said, I was born here. I spent the first 19 years of my life here. So I understand what it means to be a real, correct Nigerian. I can speak Pidgin English too, so I'm not going to know things there because, I just speak English, I don't know that. But what happened is, in our selection of a party, we're looking for the people who had the structure to reach that population. A party that shares our ideology, a party that shares our vision, a party that is youth-focused, but also a party that has a structure in all 36 states. And we're able to find that. And so I'm really excited about...
So you have a party ticket already?
Yes, I do.
We'll come to your party ticket. But there was something I found interesting about your profile, that you had this Startup 52 project that started in New York, which helped to bridge that gap with technology, with especially the diversity community in technology. And I know you're very, very passionate about education, technology, and entrepreneurship. Now, tell me a bit about your experience, especially because I know technology is a key element in what you plan to do in the future. What exactly, what qualifies you in that area? Tell us a bit about your background on that.
Wonderful. So like she talked about, my first degree, my bachelor's degree is in biomedical engineering, which is STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math. And as she did mention, in my second year, I became a Colin Powell Fellow in Public Policy. I focused on what we call youth disconnection, so youth who are out of school and out of work, the foster care, the informally incarcerated, the homeless youth. And my goal was to empower them through entrepreneurship. But we realized that even beyond entrepreneurship, tech, we talk about the fourth industrial revolution and preparing ourselves for the next, for that age.
Yeah.
So technology became extremely important in making sure that in empowering these young people, we're not just teaching them about education and entrepreneurship, but that they understand the future of humanity, which is AI, the Internet of Things and all that stuff. So technology became a serious and inclusive part of what we do. So when you ask how do we use technology to empower people, one, I tell people those three things, the three pillars, education, entrepreneurship, and tech, are interdependent because education is extremely important in teaching people the importance of technology, but also how to use technology.
Okay.
For Nigeria,
I know you tried to start in Nigeria. They start off with, have you started it, or is it just about to start?
It's about to start with my brother in Southeast. So for Nigeria, the use of technology becomes making sure that people are empowered through the things that are useful and the things that they are used to. So your mobile phones. So what can you do beyond phone calls and text messages and browsing the internet in empowering yourself, in launching entrepreneurial ventures on your phone or from your phone, in connecting with the global world and learning from other people technologically or online. So we've come up with different strategies and empowering other people who are doing the same thing at home.
All right, let me let
okay. So she picked my question. I was just going to say you are a teacher.
Yes.
I mean, that was one of your very first jobs you taught. And I know that, you know, you did the youth disconnection and trying to bring people in, like, you know, anyone that just feels like an outsider or a minority. So I was going to ask the question that she asked, which is, how have you done that? Because you say you have like a relationship here in Nigeria, you have a team, you have a base. So how have you been able to do what you've done in America? Have you been able to transfer it? Has it worked here? How did it work for you, you know?
Wonderful.
How has it been taken here, you know?
Wonderful. So in 2014, I came home to Aba, which I'm an Aba boy, right? And decided to launch a scholarship fund, an education, leadership, and entrepreneurship fund with my brother, who lives in Aba. The goal initially was, you know, bring together a couple people, about 100, 150 young people who have brilliant ideas, and source from them their ideas to pick out the best ones to launch this program. So it's twofold, one for seed capital for young small business entrepreneurs, and the other one for academic scholarships. We did that. Now, the day we launched, we were expecting, like I said, about 150 people, but we had about 2,500 young people show up. The fascinating thing about that launch was the person who actually won that competition was a 9-year-old girl.
Wow.
Yes. So that in itself, so when I talk about amazing Nigeria and trying to focus on the things that make us great, as opposed to all of the problems that, you know, a lot of people like to talk about, that was the beginning of that. Because I looked at that room full of young people. I mean, young, the oldest person there exactly could have been maybe 22, 23. And you could see passion, right? And I realized there was actually nothing that, I wasn't better than any of these young people. The only thing was I had opportunities that they do not have.
Very true.
And how do we create that? So my brother and I have been doing that. He has a software training agency in Aba, as well as educational, that teaches young people from primary, secondary, and college on how to become tech savvy.
All right,
and
so Chike, you want to go to become a Nigerian president, and I wonder, how ambitious is this young man? Because when I saw Governor Fashola then at the time debate on Lagos issues, what he won me by was the fact that he knew Lagos. Yeah. You talked about Badagry. I know Lagos, and I always appreciate when someone knows the area and the peculiarities of each area. Now, presidency all the way.
Penny,
how well do you know Nigeria?
Do you know Zamfara?
Certain peculiarities. Starting with Aba, in fact, it will be confusing. So you now want to go all the way. Do you know the peculiar issues of each region? How do you plan to tackle each region? it's not about American experience. It has to be local. So I'd like to
restructuring. We have to restructure. That's extremely important.
You believe in restructuring?
Yes, I do.
How many regions?
6 to start with. You know, the geopolitical zones. We could start with that.
Okay.
And here's why. When we talk about true federalism, right? It's not about the federal government being central. It's about supporting and empowering states or regions to be the best they can be, right? So when we, for instance, we look at security, insurgencies, the Fulani headsmen and, you know, the farmers, we have Boko Haram, we have the Niger Delta, we have IPOB in the southeast. So I do know about what's going on. So I believe that when we restructure with true federalism, we start to solve some of these problems. Because what you're doing is you're giving people who know the land the power to empower themselves. And all you're doing is providing the support system for them.
Let me just interrupt you. I don't know if you understood her question. I think her question is like, do you understand the terrain that you're going into?
Yes, I got her question.
Apart from the, you know, we all hear the news. We all, oh, this is happening in the Middle Belt, it's happening in the East, it's happening, you know. That one, basically an average person that watches TV would get that.
Assume.
Do you know the...
That's what he's saying. He doesn't need to know because then when you restructure, each region then does
the people who know will take charge.
His job is then just to facilitate, to ensure that they have the right environment.
To run for president.
That's one. Two, it's having a great team. Right? So I'm Igbo. I don't speak Hausa. I don't speak Yoruba. Now, I would be lying to you if I tell you I understand all of the problems of the Hausa person, right? But what I need is having the right person on my team who speaks and understands that.
So the Fulani cattle rearers issues that we've had over the years, is one is on international news. If you were to tackle Benue, for instance, how do you plan to settle that issue once and for all? And you know, largely it's political, so how do you plan to settle it once and for all?
So you see, I actually put out a 10-point solution on solving the Fulani herdsmen and the farmers' debacle. I said part of the problem we have is we're a nation that have learned to put ourselves before the nation, right? So if we teach people to understand the importance of nation first, what happens is, instead of making it an insurgency problem where we talk about, you know, Christians versus Muslims or houses versus, you know, in this case is Benue, we start to realize that these are two farmers, right? Livestock and crops.
Very important.
Right? Who are trying to make a living. It's all about survival. So the first thing we need to do is bring them to the table and have a dialogue. What do you need? What do you need? What are the problems? That's one. Now, when I talk about education, entrepreneurship, and technology, that's because those three things are extremely important. In understanding one, that as a livestock farmer, there are many other ways that we can empower you beyond you having to encroach into other people's lands. One, understanding the problem is one of that, and that's desertification that's happening from Sahara Desert. Now, we can reclaim some of those lands by afforestation, and it's nothing new. Israel has done it in Negev. There are several other countries that have been able to do that, right? So if we call this livestock farmers and say, listen, this is what we're going to, this is our 2-year plan to make sure we reclaim the land that's pushing you down. But in order for us to achieve that, here's what we'll do in the temporarily. There's a Sambisa forest, which spans 6 states: Gombe, Zamfara, Nasarawa, Jigawa, and I don't remember the last one, no, last 2. But 6 states, according to, I don't remember her name now, Sambisa forest is 18 times the size of Lagos, which means it can contain all of those livestock farmers. If we carve out a part of it, let me answer this question because I think it's important. If we carve out a part of Sambisa forest and turn that into world-class ranches and put these farmers there, but go beyond that, teach them the importance of technology. There are wearables that give us information about our livestock, that tells the farmer when animals are sick, tells us when they are gestating, tells us when they're pregnant, tells us how much they eat, you know, where they are and all that. That makes us develop and get actually better quality product from the what they are doing. Do it for them, do it for the farmers that their lands have been encroached on. Compensate them for damage that has been done. It's the important thing is listening and solving based on that.
We have to go on a break, unfortunately. I have to pause you for a second because I know you're trying to solve
well, you've killed this problem.
I think you've hit the nail. We're going to go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with Chike. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So actually, I'm particularly very interested in the issue of entrepreneurship, education, and I need people to understand that role of technology, which is extremely important. But I'll let Nima finish on the issue of security, because I know you wanted to complete the issue of security.
Securing the Sambisa
is a good suggestion. It's a forest, it's arid, what's it called?
It's arid, yes.
So it's good. But how do you plan to secure? Because 4 years after Boko Haram and after, you know, picking up the kidnap of our girls, they've not been able to secure Sambisa enough to find the remaining girls.
Because it's
so
big.
what are your plans to, you know, to get this area, to reclaim this area?
So security is a problem we have in the nation, period. Part of the reason we have that problem is you have about 350,000 policemen guarding almost 200 million people. That's not sustainable, especially when our police force is undereducated, under-equipped, under everything, right? So the first thing we need to do is make sure we look at our security systems again. The ones that are there already, make sure they are satisfied. We need to compensate them for putting their lives on the line every day to protect us, right? Make them feel like they're valued. Give them meanings to their lives. That's one. When people see that you take care of the people who secure you, then other people will sign up to join that, right? I would give scholarships to the children of people in the force, because it's important for them to understand that your nation cares about you as much as you do care about yourself. Then the other thing is, our policing has to be local.
Right.
If I live with you in the same community, I understand your problems.
Community policing.
Yes, it's extremely important. Now, what happens is...
Chike, a lot of people have been suggesting all these solutions. Community policing, restructuring. We have been discussing it for 4 years. Even pay them well, we have been saying it. Where are you going to get the money from?
Leadership. Leadership is a problem we have. There is no reason why we cannot pay our people.
So Chike, what do you think about, isn't it corruption that's our problem?
Not really. Corruption is everywhere. I tell people that. I mean, look at the US and what's going, if you've been following politics in the United States, the current president, the lawyer, you know, has just pled guilty to 8 counts.
Corruption is crippling our economy, of course.
Corruption is everywhere. Yes. The problem we have is visionless leadership, right? Now, so this is why I say that. When you look at our system of governance is one that fails at the 2 basic responsibilities of every government to its people, provision and protection, right? So because of that, the masses have found themselves in a state of hopelessness, which triggers survival mechanism. So what we call corruption at the lower levels or at the mass level is actually survival. There is no person in their right mind who wants to stand in the middle of the road and collect 10 naira, come rain, come sunshine, from cars passing if they didn't have mouths to feed at home. There's no reason why a teacher would go on strike. My parents are pensioners. They have not been paid for over 20 months. Now, fortunately, they have 6 kids, grown kids, who scrape together to provide, to help support them. Now, imagine families that don't have that.
Let me take this call from Ikeja. Morning, are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
Ziga, thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Zita, not Ziga.
Oh, good.
Z-I-T-A.
Okay.
I just want to commend your program. Amoraya, my 3-year-old daughter, is quite in love with you. Every time she's blowing kisses at you on the television.
Sweet. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Miriam, Nima, and Jumoke. Yeah, the young guy that seems to actually have the solution-oriented in his thinking, unlike some of the aspirants that have been on the program.
Yes, we know.
I think we need people like him to, even if he doesn't win this first time, at least he will be able to make an impact, and we can, from this, start a program, a movement, which this is what we want, a new blood in the line of things.
Thank you very much, Zita, for that comment. I would like to talk about, I want to ask you, you become president today. What's your first line of action?
2 things. Power and feeding the people.
Power. Come on. 100 years we have been on power.
Power, come on. Don't go there.
Oh, yeah, break it down.
Fashola has been trying to get more power forever.
Let me break it down.
How are you going to do power in day one?
He's an engineer, let's hear.
See, not day one, but it's starting from day one to tackle that. And my goal is 100% electrification. And some people would say it's not possible, but that's not true. South Africa has, about 1/4 of our population and generates 4 times the generating capacity than than we do have, right? So we're a nation of almost 200 million people, just like Brazil, and we're struggling to, we have a capacity generation of what, 12.5 gigawatts. Brazil has a generating capacity of 137 gigawatts, right? So that right there is our problem. With 180 million people, if we take, the 5-man per household statistics, it means you have about 36 million households, right, in the nation, which means we need to generate about 18 times as much power that we're generating currently. Now, here's what we do. Forget about the national grid we have right now. We will completely either overwhelm it if we try to do that, or if we actually look at trying to generate, building out another national grid, we'll go bankrupt trying to do that. So here's what we need to do. One, we have to understand that it's important that generation, transmission, and distribution is from the same company. Now, if you look at the United States, I talk about best practices. You look at people who've done stuff, and you look at what they do, and you try to emulate them. Now, Southern Company in America, right, generates, they have about 80,000 miles for power distribution and transmission. Now, generation power distribution and transmission is run by the same company. They provide power to about 4 million homes and generate about I don't want to give you the wrong number. So a whole lot more than we generate, right? Now, my point is, because of that, because they're responsible for generation, for transmission, and for distribution, it makes it easier for people to hold them accountable. Part of the problem we have is we lose power during those processes. We have too many bottlenecks going from generation to transmission to distribution that it makes it difficult to hold anyone accountable, right? The people at the discos tell you, well, people are not paying us, therefore we're not providing. Or, transmission tells you generation.
You don't have the capacity.
Exactly. Ordinary discos getting that money to invest in that was crazy.
So we spend a lot of money on gasoline generation, don't forget that. Right? So if the people who are focused on generators and, alternative sources of focus on these other alternative means, solar, wind, Norway's powered 100% by wind.
Let me pause you for a quick second, Chike.
Sure.
I have a call's been holding for a while. Christopher, are you still there? Christopher, please go ahead. You're live.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I've been thinking on me too. Somebody just said here that their generation has failed, but I'm so happy with this young man that we have hope for Nigeria with this young man. But what I just want to say is this. There's need for all these young minds to go around, like the Shaware, and to come and form a unit where all other youths can rally around them to be the third force. That's what I am looking for. Rather than we having this presidential aspirant from the south, that presidential aspirant from the west, we should have a melting point. And I'm sure it will help to form that third force.
Thank you very much, Christopher. Very good point. Yes, Mariam.
So my question, actually, based on what he had asked and the previous caller, is as we said from the beginning, everyone can hear you, you're intelligent, you're result-oriented, but you're going to be running alongside people who, some of them, who even have like nothing, they failed exams, but but these are the people that are representing their people. So it seems like you're coming with all these things, but might not mean much in a place where it's about who you know, how much money you have, or how well or how acceptable or relatable you are, and then somehow even all the good things that you have, the education, the experience that you have, sort of separates you from the average Nigerian. You're not that relatable to them.
Let me add that too. Let me help Miriam. So we run a democracy. And you are just a presidential candidate.
You are one person.
So your Saraki, your Dogara, who are they?
Who are they?
This money is that you need to do the transmission and whatever. Some set of people will approve.
Yes.
They would sit and say, okay, Mr. Chike, come with your bold ideas. And the way they frustrate the Minister for Works on
we will not approve it.
Lagos, they will cancel and cut and slash your budget. So maybe your plan is a 2-year plan. How do you want to make it a 2-year plan? Because these guys are going to make it a 6-year plan.
That's it.
With approval. So how do you want to
Great. So the thing about leadership is being able to pull a nation along, right? So people have asked me, who's your godfather? I'm like, my godfather is the trader on the street who can contribute 100 naira to my campaign and understand that they have that power, right? We have not been able to do that. We have leaders who have made it about themselves.
Because they have the money.
Not just that, like I talk about, most of the people who are running the nation right now are people who learn leadership from colonial masters.
Ew.
The problem with that is you have masters and you have servants. Masters care about themselves and not about any other person, right? We need to flip that around. We need to make democracy about leadership of nation first before self. And there is no person, I believe, who cares about Nigeria, who cares about their well-being and the well-being of their children, who does not understand that narrative, right? So it's about getting people to understand the importance of their future, their present and their future, and understanding that the people who are there now don't have their best interests at heart. Once we're able to do that, the Senate,
the House... should vote them out? Because
what I'm saying is...
Let me tell you what I heard. What I heard you say now is that carry us along every single step you're taking.
Exactly.
We know you are giving us information. So even if XYZ in the House is trying to vote against it, we the people are behind our leader who has carried us along every step of the way. Remember, our issue was
the constitution now. So if you win, Chike and Saraki stays and Ekweremadu stays and Gbajamilia and everybody that we know is there now. Well, how do you carry them along?
I don't believe that those people inherently are bad. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, it's all about having the right leadership at the top, right? Those people, yes, exactly. If they understand the importance of empowering the nation without it being a threat to them. Some people says, well, young people need to wrest power from, our elders. No, we don't need to wrest power from them. Because when I wrest power from you, it means that I have no loyalty to you. But I want you to understand that you're an elder statesman. But just like I care about my future and the future of my children, I care about yours as well. Because we need your experience. We need everything that you've learned, to make sure that we move in the right direction.
Hilda from Abuja, are you there?
Good morning.
Sorry for keeping you. Go ahead, Hilda.
Everyone.
Yes.
Okay, the young man has good promises for Nigeria. For my say, I think somebody just mentioned it on the set while I was waiting on the call, waiting on the line. I think the problem is you can't do this all alone.
Yes.
I think you should have like an alliance with the Sowore and the others, because we just need not to get it wrong next year.
Yes.
This is just the time that we need to plan properly against kicking out the people, in government against next year elections. What I think you should do, you can ask, I think Nima asked a question, how well do you know the part of Nigerians so well? It's not you just coming here to speak good English and all of that. We have problems in Nigeria.
Okay.
And like I heard someone talking about the Gbajamiya and others.
They
are still the same people in the House of Reps, in the House of Senate. They are still going to work with the same people. So how well prepared are you, to work and deliver these your promises?
Thank you very much, Hilda.
Against next year and beyond.
Would you like to
I think you have to form an alliance with the Sowore and the others.
Thank you, Hilda. We're going to go on a break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with Chike. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thank you for
So the thing with alliances are great, but I tell people they have to be right?
Yes,
so if we're coming together just because we want to get rid of people, but we don't have shared ideologies, then we've failed at an alliance, right?
True.
So for alliances to work, we all need to sit down and make sure that our vision is the same, that our ideology is the same, and not because we just want to take power away. Because yes, you take power away, and then you get there and you do exactly the same thing. So visions have to be aligned for alliances to work. And like I said, I'm happy, I'm very excited about working with people with shared ideology.
I have a question on how you're going to tackle health and education, but I'd like to read tweets so we're carrying our viewers along. Philippine says, your guest has the ideas, but all he needs is the support. Sean Milari says, hello, how does he think a body or company can get the huge resources to obtain all the aspects of power of the nation? Tomiwa says, my question to your guest, in Nigeria today, people don't vote the personality, they vote the party. So does your party cut across the country, and how can you change this ideology people have?
Paul Igunwe says,
let me let him ask the party question. You say, don't mention the name of the party, but let's have an idea of the ideology. And
wonderful. So the party I joined for three things. One, we have the same ideology. Two, it's a combination of huge organizations, from the National Youth Council to trade unions to civil society unions to women organizations.
Oh, really?
Yes, that came together to form this party, and in fact has a structure in every state. Okay. Now, the funny thing is, I believe when we do launch in a couple of weeks, we would actually have the largest base of membership, in my opinion, of all the parties combined.
Chike,
and that's a promise.
You said on CNN that you are going for the presidency as a young person because 60% of Nigeria's population is young people.
Yes.
And I know, all of us know, that it's not just to be young. Because we've had in Kogi in particular, a young governor, a young senator, it didn't work. So it's not just because you are young.
Right.
You need the strength of, for instance, this is going to take you 6 months to look for the right technocrats and politicians to work alongside you. Do you already have people?
I already started. I already have my Minister of Power.
Okay.
Your Minister of Economy, I wanted to, so how are you going to tackle health and education?
Okay.
This tweet is supposed to be, I'd like to talk quickly. But you go, answer.
Okay, good.
Tackle health and education.
Okay, so healthcare is extremely important. Nigerians spend over $1 billion a year on healthcare outside the nation. That's money that should be in the country. In fact, the fact that our president has to leave the country to get healthcare is an indictment to our healthcare problems here. Now, when we talk about healthcare, it's important that we understand the structure needed to make sure that it's effective for all of us. So there are a few things that I looked at with my team. Of course, I have a team of great people. One, what would it take to create a world-class hospital, at least a 50-bed hospital in each state capital, and then urban care centers across the states to support that, hospital. We looked at what it would take to educate the people in the rural areas, the primary care providers in the rural areas, the midwives and the people who the local communities trust.
When you say what it will take, are you talking about funding?
Not just funding, the education, the infrastructure,
But basically,
expertise.
where are you getting the funding from?
See, that as an entrepreneur, we don't see problems, we see opportunities, right?
Been holding for a while from MINNA. Mohammed, are you there? Mohammed, are you still there? Please go ahead, you're live.
Okay, morning, my friend.
Hey,
Hey.
So my question is, I wanted to correct you on some things, You talked about our generation's capacity was in gigawatts. It's not in gigawatts, it's in megawatts. That's one. And then you talked about a vision. So I want you to relate this government with the previous government. Does this government have vision or not? Then you notice your own perspective. And then secondly, Morayo, the lady by your left, immediate left, she talked about knowledge. So when you want to lead, it's not about knowledge, it's not about academics, it's not about specific 4 words of university and your president. History has given us that men that rule this world, they didn't go to school.
Benny.
You understand? They didn't go to school. They are just warriors, heroes that have experience, that understand their terrain. You understand?
True.
It's not about restructuring, making people around you, giving you information. You have to know the information. You have to be informed. This is the 21st century. You understand? So,
Thank you very much, Mohammed. Let me let you respond to that.
So the first question was about the current administration.
Yes.
Well, I mean, if there were vision, I wouldn't be here today. I would say that. At least for the young people, we're experiencing a brain drain from the nation.
Very true.
That is detrimental to our country. That is detrimental to the future of our nation.
And then the second one he asked, which is, how relatable are you? I think, and that was what I was trying to say.
It's not all about education.
It's not just your education and your credentials. Are you relatable to the northern person on the street? Like she mentioned, the Musa, the 18-year-old,
Go ahead. So here's the thing, right? I tell people, say, if you want me to speak Igbo, I go speak Igbo. I speak Pidgin English as well, though. So because I speak for that, Fana is just, 16 years of being in New York. But I'll be correct Igbo boy, I'll be correct Aba boy. I carried bucket on my head to go fetch water. We all screamed up NEPA when NEPA took light and brought light back. So don't let this whole English fool you say, I don't know it's not.
You're relatable.
I am very, 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 very relatable. If you want us to do that, we can do that. I even carry dirty on my head to go throw away.
He's saying, my president at you, and that you have a very big presence in Northwest, especially in Kano. If things go as we plan, you get 25% of their
target.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask, because I asked this question yesterday to our guests, and I'd like to ask you the same question.
Sure.
When Barack Obama was coming into office, we saw the strategy he used. He went online. Young people, he carried the social media along. When Trump was coming, he used online plus.
Yes.
He looked for those voters that have been seemingly abandoned, that were not captured. There was a strategy on both their parts.
Yeah.
What exactly? We understand the terrain.
Yes.
We understand Nigeria's terrain. What's your strategy to get those votes that have been untapped?
Am I supposed to give you my strategy on the screen? But I know she's let me tell you. Of course I do have. I wouldn't be here if I don't have a strategy. Actually, everything we've done has been strategic. When I was still in the U.S., people asked, well, when Trump was announcing he didn't come to Nigeria to announce his presidency. Why are you still in New York? I said, well, one, the Not Too Young to Run bill was signed in May, right? If I had packed up my stuff and came back to Nigeria and said I'm running for president, none of you would take me seriously. No, I wouldn't be sitting here today, right? And in fact, I know that because prior to, announcing, we sent out messages to a lot of media houses in Nigeria. Nobody carried the press release until after CNN.
They didn't know him.
They didn't know me. Yeah, it's like, oh, he's 35, he's young, he's outside.
Who is he?
Exactly. Right? So, but after CNN happened, then all of a sudden it was like, oh, wait. Okay, this young dude has something to say. Funny thing is, we thought when we come out, we'll get all the young people and then we'll just have to persuade the older people. It was actually the other way around. The older people were like, oh, that's that hope we were looking for, because we sat down and we talked about it and we said, I think what it was is for our parents, they saw the current crop of leaders now as young people. Exactly. So for them, it's not impossible. But for us, all we have seen are the same people.
True.
So young leadership is an anomaly. Exactly for us.
You are an orator.
So like Barack Obama.
So one last question.
Sure.
Nigeria has been looking to diversify this economy forever.
Yes.
The major option has been agriculture. But the problem is educating the farmer who would not come to a classroom to learn about the economics of agriculture.
Yes.
How do you plan to make that diversification happen and educate the farmers who are hands-on, tilling the soil the way they know how, up north, in the east, everywhere, without having to put them in the classroom and taking them away from their means of livelihood?
Right.
How do you plan to diversify properly?
I'm going to say something
and get us to complex products.
That's a little, controversial, but, I think we need to completely, revamp our educational system, right? We live in a day and age where...
Can you do it in 4 years?
Not in 4 years, but it's laying the foundation to make sure that our subsequent leaders adopt the same ideology and can move with that, right? So when you look at the 21st century, you have young people who sit on iPads and they learn, right? People take online classes and they're fine.
Yeah.
My last research was focused on how to engage people. And we can go into that, I wanted to answer that with education, but I guess we'll leave that for another day. Here's what we do. The cell phone, I talk about that as a tool that's extremely important for Nigeria. Now, for
very distracting tool.
Very distracting, yeah, but we can leverage it too, right? For the farmer you talk about. Now, if you tell that farmer, listen, I can provide subsidies to help you enhance what you're doing. You don't need to sit in a class. But here is what we can do. You educate people, young people, who have access to them to go in and educate them. And it could be, a town hall. It could be coming to your home to say, okay, you have this farmland. This is what you're doing. This is how you can do this to get better. We all want more money. We all want to be successful. We all want to have enough to feed our families and some surplus to be able to sell them. That's where entrepreneurship comes in. So if I, as a farmer, you come to me and say, I have what it takes to teach you how to go from making 10,000 naira a day to making 100,000 naira, I want to hear that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's equipping the right people who can go into the rural communities to empower them.
Right.
That's
one. Round up.
Let me finish on diversification. Okay. There's a lot more. Okay, so let me say this, right? So we're gradually going to start to unveil our policies and strategies and ideology for the nation. And that's because diversification goes beyond agriculture. It's production, it's manufacturing, it's entrepreneurship, it's technology.
All right, because this is Africa, I can't let you go without asking this question.
Sure.
Are you married, got kids? What? I know you have a foster child, but what exactly, what's that status? You can't become president and just be a single man. What kind of rubbish is that?
Okay, let me answer this. I am not married, so I am single and searching and looking. Well, so
I am.
Please,
I know.
He'll be able to focus. There will be no other room matter.
Okay. So people say, well, you know, as a single man, you're not. I'm like, that's not true. The Constitution does not say that. And that's because the Constitution realizes that marriage is not
it's personal,
actually. It's actually convention.
Exactly.
It's personal. It's marriage.
All of the presidents. It's convention. We expect a Mrs.
of the first lady.
Mrs. to make you look responsible.
But I don't need someone to make me look responsible. I am responsible already, right?
So
plus, you know, it's an opportunity to have our own version of the royal wedding.
Our money for
No.
Of course, unfortunately, thank you so much, Chike, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Quickly, Omolaja Olatunji says, I hope people are taking notes of these young brains. Not everyone will be president, but they can come handy in solving our problems.
I think what we want to leave this place is that, listen, we told you we'll give you options. Chike is an option. I mean, let's not act to see there are no options out there.
Thank you.
People are out there. People are collective. Two parties are fighting this or that party. And we're saying, listen, there's a third force.
Yes.
People must acknowledge that there's a third force. So you cannot say that there's no option.
That's it.
You have a Chike here. Thank you so much, Chike, for being here.
Thank you very much. Go follow me on social media.
We'll follow you. Don't worry. We'll get your name. All right. Please, we appreciate the different views. Please note that all the views expressed, especially from our callers, are not the views of TVC Communication. They're just their own personal views. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
It's your view.